The steam cleared slowly, revealing the figure that had emerged from the shattered cryopod. Rex's four legs remained locked in position, every muscle tensed for flight. Beside him, Zigzag had gone completely still, which was unusual for a species that normally couldn't stop fidgeting with at least two of their four arms. The human stood approximately 2 meters tall, just as the scans had indicated. It was encased in some kind of armor, dark and angular, with surfaces that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The armor appeared ancient by modern standards, but Rex could recognize quality engineering when he saw it. This wasn't ceremonial gear or museum piece. This was equipment designed for serious combat. For what felt like an eternity but was probably only 15 seconds, nobody moved. The human stood motionless in the center of the cargo bay, surrounded by shattered crystal fragments and wisps of dissipating steam. Rex couldn't see its face clearly through the armor's helmet visor, but he could feel the weight of its attention as it surveyed its surroundings. Then the human moved, and Rex nearly bolted for the door. But the movement wasn't aggressive. The human simply raised both arms above its head and stretched, the armor's joints producing a series of mechanical whirs and clicks. Several organic joints popped audibly, the sound unnaturally loud in the silent cargo bay. "Well," the human said, its voice surprisingly clear and steady for something that had been frozen for 6 centuries. "That was refreshing." The translator built into Rex's communication implant processed the words instantly, rendering them in standard galactic. The human's tone was casual, almost conversational, as if waking up from cryostasis in an alien cargo bay was a perfectly normal occurrence. "Anyone got the time?" the human added, rolling its shoulders. Rex's mandibles worked soundlessly. His brain had apparently decided that forming words was beyond its current capabilities. Zigzag recovered first, though his voice came out as more of a squeak than his usual confident tone. The time? Yeah. Year, date, general temporal context. That sort of thing. The human tilted its head, and through the helmet visor, Rex caught a glimpse of eyes scanning the cargo bay with professional efficiency. Also, nice ship. Very... lived in. Lived in was being generous. The serendipitous Prophet looked exactly like what it was. A third-rate salvage vessel held together by patches, prayers, and Rex's stubborn refusal to admit defeat. The human seemed to sense their paralysis. It lowered its arms slowly, keeping its movements deliberate and non-threatening. "Look, I get that this is probably a weird situation for everyone involved. How about we start with introductions? I'm Marcus O'Reilly. Most people call me Mac. Gunnery Sergeant, Earth Defense Force, 23rd Siege Regiment." The human paused. Or at least I was, not sure if that rank still means anything. Rex found his voice, though it came out higher pitched than he would have liked. You're human." "Last time I checked, yeah." Mac tapped the side of his helmet with one armored finger. "Though I gotta say, you two are definitely not. Love the whole tentacle thing you've got going," he added, apparently addressing Zigzag. "Very avant-garde." Zigzag's eye stalks swiveled in confusion. "Avant-garde?" "Artistic. Stylish. You know, fashionable." "These are my manipulator appendages. They're biological, not fashionable." "Even better. Form and function." Mac turned slightly, taking in more of the cargo bay. "So, this is a salvage operation, right? You found my pod floating around and figured it might be worth something?" Rex's mandibles clicked nervously. Yes. We thought it was a crystalline formation. Potentially valuable." "Smart thinking. Good eye for spotting unusual artifacts. I respect that." Mac nodded approvingly, and Rex felt some of his terror begin to ease. The human didn't seem aggressive. If anything, its tone was almost friendly. "Mind if I ask what year it is? Galactic Standard Time?" Zigzag consulted his chronometer with one manipulator while keeping his other 3 ready to grab emergency supplies. 2387.3 by current reckoning. Mac was quiet for a moment, and Rex could almost hear the calculations happening behind that helmet. 612 years. Not bad for a field cry unit. The human's voice carried a note of what might have been respect. Earth military engineering at its finest. About Earth, Rex ventured carefully. We should probably tell you. It's gone, isn't it? Mac interrupted, his tone matter-of-fact. That kind of silence usually means bad news. Rex and Zigzag exchanged glances. The records indicate your species went extinct approximately 6 centuries ago. Zigzag said carefully. Something about internal conflicts. Mac snorted, a sound that the translator rendered as amused derision. Internal conflicts. Right. That's what they're calling the Void War these days. He shook his head, the helmet moving smoothly. Well, that explains why you two look like you've seen a ghost, which, technically, I guess you have. The Void War? Zigzag's scientific curiosity was apparently overcoming his fear. That's not in any Federation records. Wouldn't be. It happened after your Federation probably lost interest in us. Mac moved toward one of the cargo crates and settled himself against it with the easy confidence of someone who'd never met a situation he couldn't handle. Look, I know this is a lot to process. You're salvagers. You found something weird, and now that weird thing is awake and talking to you. How about we take this slow? You tell me about what I've missed, and I'll try not to do anything that makes you more nervous than you already are. Rex felt his secondary hearts beginning to slow from their panicked rhythm. The human's casual demeanor was actually helping. If Mac was this calm about waking up 6 centuries in the future on an alien ship, then maybe they didn't need to be quite so terrified. What do you want to know? Rex asked. For starters, what's the political situation like these days? Still got that Galactic Federation thing going on? Yes, Zigzag replied, cautiously moving a bit closer to his scanner station. Though it's mostly peaceful now, we've eliminated warfare through diplomatic channels and bureaucratic processes. Mac's helmet tilted slightly. You've eliminated warfare? Completely? The last military action was over 400 years ago. Behind the helmet's visor, Rex thought he saw Mac's eyes narrow. Huh. The human was quiet for a moment. That's either really impressive or really ominous. Why ominous? Zigzag asked. In my experience, peace that lasts that long usually means someone's been sitting on a powder keg, just waiting for a spark. Mac shifted his weight, the armor producing quiet mechanical sounds. 400 years without a single war? Across how many species? 47 member species in the Federation, Rex supplied. 47 different species, all with their own interests and territories and resources, and nobody's fought about anything for 4 centuries? Mac's tone suggested he found this more alarming than reassuring. That doesn't happen naturally. Someone's been enforcing it. The Federation maintains peace through proper governance and... Zigzag began. Through what? Mac interrupted. Superior firepower? Economic pressure? Carefully managed accidents that eliminate troublemakers before they can cause problems? The cargo bay fell silent. Rex felt a chill run through his circulatory system. The human had just described with unnerving accuracy several methods that Federation monitors were rumored to use, though such rumors were never officially confirmed. You're remarkably cynical for someone who just woke up, Zigzag observed. I'm remarkably experienced with organizations that claim to maintain peace through strength. Max stood up, and both aliens instinctively tensed. But he simply walked over to one of the cargo bay viewports, looking out at the debris field beyond. So what happens now? You contact Federation authorities and turn me over? Rex's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme nervousness. We hadn't actually thought that far ahead. Honest, I appreciate that. Mac turned back to face them. Let me ask you something. When your scans identified me as human, what was your first thought? Panic, Rex admitted. Before that you might be valuable, Zigzag said quietly. Also honest, you two are refreshingly straightforward. Mac crossed his arms, the armor shifting smoothly. Here's the situation as I see it. You're independent salvagers, probably operating on thin margins given the state of your ship. You found something that could either make your fortune or get you killed, depending on how you play it. You could contact the Federation, turn me over, and maybe get a finder's fee. Or you could try to figure out what I'm actually worth before involving the authorities. Are you suggesting we don't report this? Rex asked, scandalized despite himself. I'm suggesting you think carefully about your options. Mac moved back to the cargo crate and settled against it again. The Federation has kept the galaxy peaceful for 400 years. I'm a representative of a supposedly extinct warrior species. What do you think they're going to do when they find out I exist? Zigzag's eye stalks focused intently on Mac. You think they'd try to eliminate you. I think they'd try to eliminate any potential disruption to their carefully maintained order. Mac's tone was calm, almost conversational. And a human with military training and 600 years of missing context definitely qualifies as a potential disruption. Rex found himself considering the human's words carefully. Mac wasn't wrong. The Federation valued stability above almost everything else. An extinct species suddenly reappearing, especially one with humanity's reputation for aggression and warfare, would be seen as a threat. So what do you propose? Rex asked. Information exchange. You tell me about the current state of the galaxy. Fill me in on what I've missed. I tell you about what really happened to humanity, and maybe share some insights on Federation peacekeeping that you might find interesting. Mac gestured around the cargo bay. And we do it all while staying off the Federation's sensors, at least until we figure out the best way to handle this situation. That sounds suspiciously like you're asking us to harbor a fugitive, Zigzag pointed out. I'm asking you to think before you act. There's a difference. Max stood up again, moving with fluid grace despite the armor. Look, I know I'm asking a lot. You don't know me. For all you know, I'm exactly the dangerous relic the Federation should be worried about. But here's the thing. I've been frozen for 6 centuries. I have no resources, no allies, no way to survive in this galaxy without help. That makes me dependent on your goodwill. Rex studied the human carefully. Mac's body language was open, non-threatening. But there was something in the way he moved, a controlled economy of motion that suggested significant combat training. This was someone who knew exactly how dangerous he was, and was carefully managing that danger to avoid frightening them further. Why should we trust you? Rex asked. Because I'm being honest with you. Mac replied simply. I could have attacked the moment I woke up. I could have tried to take control of your ship. Instead, I'm standing here, having a conversation, and trying to find a solution that works for everyone. He paused. Also, I'm hoping you're curious enough about the truth to take a chance. Zigzag's manipulators moved across his scanner station. I'm detecting increased energy signatures in the sector, multiple ships, moving on standard patrol vectors. Federation? Mac asked, his tone sharpening. Likely. We're on the edge of monitored space, but patrols do come through here occasionally. Mac's posture shifted slightly, becoming more alert. How long until they're in scanning range? Maybe an hour. Possibly less if they're running full sensor sweeps. Then we need to make a decision, Max said, looking between Rex and Zigzag. You can jettison me back into space and pretend you never found me. You can try to hide me until the patrol passes. Or you can contact them and turn me over. Those are your 3 options, and you need to choose quickly. Rex's 4 legs carried him in nervous circles. This was exactly the kind of situation he'd hoped to avoid when he chose the salvage business. Simple finds, simple sales, no complications. Now he had a living member of an extinct species in his cargo bay, Federation patrols approaching, and a choice that could determine whether he became rich or ended up in a Federation detention facility. Zigzag, he said finally. What's your assessment? His science officer's eye stalks swiveled thoughtfully. From a purely logical standpoint, the human is correct about the Federation's likely response. A living human represents an unknown variable in a system that has spent centuries eliminating unknown variables. They would almost certainly classify him as a threat. And from a less logical standpoint? I'm curious, Zigzag admitted. The official records about humanity are fragmentary and contradictory. This is a chance to learn the truth about what happened to them. From a scientific perspective, that's valuable. From a scientific perspective, everything is valuable, Rex muttered. He looked at Mac, trying to read the human's posture for any sign of deception. If we help you, what exactly are we getting into? Honestly, I don't know yet. Mac's tone was sincere. I've been frozen for 600 years. I have no idea what the current situation actually is beyond what you've told me. But I can promise you this. I'm not interested in starting wars or causing chaos. I'm interested in surviving and figuring out what happened to the rest of my species. The rest? Zigzag's eye stalks perked up. You think there are other humans? 600 years is a long time. But humans are survivors. If I made it this long, others probably did too. Mac moved toward the viewport again, looking out at the stars. Which means somewhere out there might be answers. About what really happened to Earth. About whether the Void War was actually won or just postponed. About a lot of things the Federation probably doesn't want me asking about. Rex made his decision. It was probably a terrible decision, and he'd likely regret it within the hour. But Zigzag was right about one thing. They were curious. And in the salvage business, curiosity was sometimes the only thing that separated success from eternal mediocrity. Zigzag, can we hide him from Federation scans? His science officer thought for a moment. Possibly. If we power down his armor and get him into a shielded compartment, we might be able to mask his biosignature. The patrols usually run fairly standard sensor sweeps. They're not expecting to find extinct species on salvage vessels. Probably not, Mac agreed. Though I should mention that my armor has some systems you might not be able to completely power down. Earth military equipment tends to have redundant backups built into redundant backups. Wonderful, Rex muttered. Zigzag, do what you can. Mac, you're going to need to trust us for this next part. I'm trusting you already, Mac pointed out. Might as well go all in. What followed was a chaotic 20 minutes of Zigzag trying to figure out how to safely power down 600-year-old human military equipment while Rex cleared out one of their shielded storage compartments. The compartment was normally used for containing radioactive salvage materials, which meant it was heavily shielded against sensor scans. This is going to be cramped, Rex warned as Mac examined the small space. I've been frozen in a crystal pod for 6 centuries. Cramped is relative. Mac began removing his helmet, and for the first time Rex got a clear look at a human face. It was surprisingly ordinary. 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, all arranged in the standard humanoid configuration. The skin was pale, probably from 600 years without sunlight. The hair was dark and cut short. Rex had expected something more exotic, more obviously dangerous. Instead, Mac looked like he could have been any bipedal species in the galaxy. Except for the eyes. Those were alert, calculating, taking in every detail of the cargo bay with professional efficiency. Those were Predator's eyes, and Rex felt his fear return in a small, manageable dose. How do I look? Mac asked with what might have been a smile. Terrifying? Exotic? Disappointingly mundane? All 3. Rex admitted. I'll take it. Mac climbed into the storage compartment, folding himself into the space with practiced efficiency. How long do you think we'll need to hide? Federation patrols usually take 30 to 40 minutes for standard sweeps, Zigzag reported. Longer if they find something interesting. Then let's try not to be interesting. Mac settled himself as comfortably as possible in the cramped space. One more thing, Captain Rex. What? Thank you for taking a chance on me. Rex's mandibles clicked nervously. Thank me after we survive this. Zigzag, seal the compartment and start masking protocols. The storage compartment door closed with a solid thunk, and Zigzag immediately began activating the shielding systems. Rex made his way to the bridge, trying to calm his racing hearts. They'd just made a choice that would either change their lives or end them. Possibly both. Through the ship's view screen, he could see the approaching patrol vessel, its sleek profile cutting through the debris field. They were about to find out if hiding an extinct species from the galaxy's peacekeepers was as difficult as it sounded. Rex strongly suspected it was going